Prepared and your ears tortured. It's from the front row with Johnathan T. Rokford.
No. You know, Turtle did a good job. If he had a Starbucks, he probably would have missed on me. You know, when he don't get his Starbucks, he's like a snapping turtle. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he could be kind of funny. What's up, WPA? It's me once again. Johnathan T. Rokford here with another edition of From the Front Row. And this past week, as if no surprise by now, with me showing up, thanks to Turtle and his clairvoyant ass, we had some new champions crowned. Starting with the Game Changer title that concluded with Casper beating the Beast and then taking on Cats and Corey in what I would like to call the WPA Open Challenge curse. Kind of disappointing. But he has no reason to hold his head down. I mean, he should hold his head up. He put on one hell of a match with the Beast and just got caught short. As Cats and Corey was able to defeat Casper. It happens. Now, they say lightning doesn't strike twice. Unless you're the Game Changer champion. And you don't meet that deadline that's been set by WPA. And they issue the open challenge. And the vultures just hop on it. Well, at least the vultures that know how to follow directions to get to the title. And it was made a triple threat match, folks. Poor Cats and Curry, he had no chance. But JP DiMaggio was able to defeat the crowd and pick up the win and become the new Game Changer champion. Now, learning from the previous two Game Changer champions, DiMaggio immediately issued a challenge to his current opponent. And not only did he maintain his Game Changer championship, but he beat the Beast in a singles competition. You know, say what you want about the Kingpin. He could be turning the corner here. I mean, let's face it, folks. Did he suck? Yes. Can he overcome that suckiness? Hell yeah. Anybody can. And I will say, this is a step in the right direction, folks. Maybe having even an unsanctioned title will be what he needs to gain that fire back. And a win over the IC champion. Now, will I say he doesn't suck anymore? Probably not. Not until he gets a couple more wins under that belt. And with new rankings coming out soon, after All Out, we'll see just where he stands. Who knows? Folks, he could end next week and go into the reset with 0 losses. We'll see. Now, on commentary, we did have 2 individuals as guest commentators. Fuego L, who was conspicuously absent last week, went and sat at the Spanish announce table while the Messiah did guest commentary at our esteemed AEW commentary table. Now, it wasn't as good as DiMaggio's, but nevertheless, he did I give it about a B minus. You know, hey, maybe should have had him. If he had sat at the Canadian announce table, it might have been maybe A plus. Yeah. And for those keeping score of Turtle's little fake results, he pretty much called every match correctly, with the exception of one. And we'll get to that in a minute. But we had Queen Desdemona taking on Lady Assassin. These two know each other very well, as they were our first competitors in our match to establish who was the Queen of WPA. And lately, the Queen has been reflecting on her time here in WPA, giving a little history buff to those who don't know her. Although it is putting me to sleep, nevertheless, it is a history we're all familiar with. Now, although it may not have been by an O'Connor role, the Queen did mount a vicious comeback and defeated Lady Assassin. It is what it is, folks. Your fortune could change like. But it was a good match, though, folks. And for a while, it looked like Lady Assassin had that match control until the Queen took over. She did the smartest thing, though. She dumped the Lady Assassin out the ring to give herself a catch her breath. And then once Lady Assassin was coming back in the ring, caught her with a DDT while she was coming through the ropes. Was able to pick up the win, folks. Now, it's good strategy on her part. I may criticize people, but when they pick up the win like that with some good strategy, you can't do anything but give him a pat on the back. Now, the next match saw Shepherd Bay taking on Supreme Knight, and that match ended in a time limit draw, folks. Which was surprising. One, because they both showed up to work. Two, there was no winner. Just draw. You know, back in the day, it used to be a lot of draws in WPA. Oh, man. There was so many draws that every week I think we had some kind of way to break that tie. But that was after the Queen. Coming after the Queen and Lady Assassin, that was a pretty good match. The crowd was into it. Now, our next match featured Johnny Rocco taking on the sponsored athlete Jayla Masters. And yes, Johnny Rocco looked to avenge a previous loss to Jayla Masters. And maybe if Jayla Masters had stayed essential, he might have got another win over Johnny Rocco. But you know, when Johnny Rocco gets his hands on the title, he flips the switch, folks. And while Jayla Masters is a tough one-on-one, you almost need to be perfect to beat Johnny Rocco one-on-one. If that makes any sense. Like, you make one mistake and it's over. But this match, Johnny Rocco controlled it from the start, from bell to bell, and defeated Jayla Masters. 2 weeks ago, it was Jermaine Walker. This week, Johnny Rocco. Of course, afterwards, Johnny went down and sat on Misfit Row and chilled out with Fat Thomas and Shona Campbell as they waited their matches. You know, I don't know how they get those seats down there. I tried to sit down there one time, and they just gave me like this nastiest look. I don't know. There's something about those three seats down there. It's always the same three seats, no matter what arena we go to. It's kind of weird. Now, our next match featured Money, MF, and Mike taking on the badass Eddie Von Daddy, folks. And you know, lo and behold, the badass defeated Money Mike. You know, I don't know. Actually, I don't know what's up with these guys. You never could tell when Killer Goons are going to actually step up. You know, Casper to me has been the probably more consistent, an underrated member of that group. Granted, that most times they win when they're teaming up. It's usually because of him. Of course, Big Mel stands out atop the whole group. I mean, he's won the most titles out of the whole group. I mean, Jesus Christ. Probably one of the most dominant U.S. champions we've had in WPA since the title was formed. I'd probably put Casper second. Jalen Masters third. But Brasso and Money Mike, they're just Money Mike will probably be the last in that low group. But it is what it is. Now, our next match saw the First Lady, our women's international champion, taking on the Prince of Crime, Delirious, who's been having a rough month, folks. Lost a title match. Go up against another champion. Loses this last week to the First Lady. I mean, come on, folks. She's no slouch. There's a reason why she's champion. What? Yeah, somebody pays for her wins. Yeah, it's the same cut from last time. Yeah, I know. Whatever. Whatever, Flip. I got stuff to do. Yeah, our next match saw Mr. I don't have no balls. I'm sorry, Mr. Money in the Bank taking on the Darkstalker. And the Darkstalker, you know, give him what his flowers. He came back and picked up the win. You know, a lot of these guys, they had some losses last week, and lo and behold, they come back the next week. And I mean, he just lost to Kwani Fist, of all people. Comes back and beats Mr. Money in the Bank, 1/3 of the Trios champions. That's saying something, folks. You got I mean, granted, he's half of the tag team champions right now, but Trios champions, I mean, they're pretty good. But you're trying to look for some beef with Sinister. Maybe see if they're ready for a challenge of Trios championships. And you send one of your guys in there to face one of them. He loses. Now, who knows who, if any, if Sinister decides to go for the titles, would face the Trios champions. But if one of them is a Darkstalker, you know, yeah, he just proved he's nothing to be fucked with, folks. There's a reason why he's a tag team champion, folks. And it's not because he teams with Johnny Rocco. Now, let's not forget the guy is also a former IC champion, a former world champ, former triple threat champion, game changer champion. Multiple titles, folks. He's no easy win. Dumb. but no easy win. Yeah, the guy's dumb as a box of rocks. I don't know how he survives sometimes. Now, our next match was Martel the Carpenter versus Crusher LB. And Martel probably wished Crusher probably hadn't shown up because he came in there and just obliterated Martel the Carpenter. I think Martel at this point just accepts his fate. I mean, goddamn. I mean, I don't know how many times you could lose like that. Now, I will say our next match had me a little bit of surprise. I really didn't think the match was going to be that overwhelming when Nergahanti took on Bobby Blaze, but as the world champ, Nergahanti had something to prove, especially after his last match against Katz and Corey, and he lost. He took on Bobby Blaze, former world champion, former tag team champion, game changer champion, and he defeated him, folks. So, in my opinion, contrary to what Turtle might believe, that was actually a pretty good win. Not as good as beating Jermaine for the title, but that was a pretty damn good win. As Bobby Blaze is one of our premier athletes here in WPA. And like I said, folks, JP DiMaggio defeated the Beast in a non-title match, which doesn't bode well for the Beast. You got, especially after what he said about his Sinister Brothers. He literally just boasted how he was the only one with a title. Before the other ones got titles again. Like as if they don't just grab titles when they want it. I mean, come on, folks. Johnny Rocco and the Darkstalker. They team up for one tag team match. Next week they go for a tag team title match. And they get it. And get the titles. Those guys together, but together, the Darkstalker and Johnny Rocco they're 3-time tag team champs together. Johnny Rocco himself is like 4 or 5 times tag team champ. It's like whoever teams with him it's almost a betting favorite that they're going to win the tag titles. I would like to see him just take with anybody, see what happens. Tag team titles. I mean, guy he's like a belt collector at this point. I mean, shit. What? World champ? TV champ? Tag team champ? 6-time game changer champ? Triple threat champ? Well, I think he only has 3 more belts, and he would have every belt in WPA at one point in time. Crazy. Now, I would normally say this is a surprise, folks. But our former world champ is not having fun right now. No. It was Jermaine Walker versus James Altrez, and that is reported by Turtle, because that was probably the only truthful thing he said the whole night. The match was simply made just to give Jermaine a challenge. And most people would have looked at him like, that's no challenge, it's James Altrez. But folks, he's 1/3 of the Trio's champions. And he defeated Jermaine Walker. Now, after the match, James Altrez extended his hand in a sign of respect and also looked to be closing a deal with Jermaine. We'll have to see what that was about. But like I said, folks, there's literally no beef between the two. It was just a match. one challenger versus another challenger. Two good challengers. And James Altraz outlasted the God. I mean, granted, now he's calling himself a God killer, but it's not like it's the first time Jermaine Walker's ever lost. I mean, he lost to the Queen. I mean, he's lost, folks. He's as much as he say he is a god, he's human. He's going to lose at times. Now we move on to number one contender matches, folks. And we had the number one contender match for the Triple Threat Championship. And the first match featured Cats and Corey versus DJ Tech versus Mac Blakely. And Cats and Corey picked up the win when he pinned DJ Tech. There wasn't enough music to prevent that loss. So, that was a good comeback by Cats and Corey after losing this game-changing title. Picking up a win, get himself into a triple threat match. Triple threat championship match, yeah. Now, match 2 was a weird pairing. We had the Brass Hole versus Donnie Boy versus Needles Kane. And Brass Hole picked up the win when he pinned Donnie Boy. So Cats and Corey and Brass Hole have punched their tickets to a triple threat championship match. Who would they face? We'll find out in a minute. Our second number one contender match was to determine the number one contender for the tag team championship. And I will say, Bulletproof started off strong. Despite WPA making a couple mistakes in the beginning. And you would think and you prayed that those mistakes wouldn't come back to bite them in the ass. But they did. As the Master Sean Puff was able to finally pull himself together and help his team. And Chrysalis wound up pinning Luna, who was carrying the match for a little while, so her partner put his head out his ass. So, the Order, the Master Sean Puff, and Chrysalis are now your number one contenders for the Tag Team Championship, folks. Me personally, I didn't see that one coming. Nah, I really didn't. I can see why Turtle said what he said. I honestly thought Bulletproof was going to make it. I mean, we've all seen Sean Puff shit the bed. He came through this time now. And that would be the match that Turtle got wrong. Yeah, I know that's kind of scary. A lot of matches to get wrong, and that's the one he gets wrong. Now we had a number one contender match for determine the number one contender for the television title. As we had the Wraith taking on Kwani Fist. And the Wraith showed up to fight, and fight he did as he defeated Kwani Fist in a close match. And is now your new number one contender for the television title. I like the Wraith. Guy just goes out there and fights his ass off. Quietly, too. Never hear too much from him. What? You mean, why is it green? No, it's not the ectoplasm one. No, it's fucking, what's the flavor? Watermelon lemonade. Yeah. Pretty good. No, I didn't get you one. Sorry. Oh, stop crying, Flip. You don't even like that shit anyway. Now, our last number one contender match was to determine the number one contender to the world title. Who would go and face Nergahante at Mega Week? Would it be Big Mel? Would it be Fat Thomas? Would it be Michael Oliver, Nathaniel Everett Young? or would it be Red Death, who would have been my pick to win that match? I mean, let's face it, Red Death, when he was a TV champ, he was untouchable. It was like nobody could beat that guy. But Fat Tomas pulled out the win, folks. It got really down to him or Big Mel at some point. And ironically or poetically, he pinned Money for the win. And if you all know the history between Fat Thomas and Money, it's pretty well documented. I mean, Money took a title from Fat Thomas when he was the professor. Back when Money was pretty good. Now it kind of sucks. I don't even know how he got in the top 10, to tell you the truth. Now, we move on to championship action as we had the triple threat champion in action, and it was South Bronx Savage taking on Casper 2779 versus Emperor 2K Anomaly. And folks, I literally thought Casper was going to do it. I thought we were going to have a new champion, and it was going to be Casper 2779. I mean, the guy deserves it. He deserved that win. But, folks, the Emperor 2K Anomaly, of all people, picked up the win when South Bronx Savage went to go pin Casper, and the Emperor grabbed him by his tights and threw him out the ring and pinned Casper 2779. That's probably the first time Casper's ever been fought over who was going to get on top of him. Probably not used to that, but it is. Now our next championship match was to determine who would be the TV champion going into Mega Week. Because unlike other weeks, this one will be defended during that week. And it was the Super Champion King versus a new sinister, devious, evil Ronan Shona Campbell. And Doe previously stated, that she doesn't really care about the wins or losses or championships. She just wants to go out there and fight and hurt people. Shona wanted this. I mean, she was used to having a title around her waist, and she wanted that gold again. I mean, you can't be in Sinister going up for a title and not put in the effort. And Shona put in work as she picked up the win, forcing the Super Champion King to tap out. Yes, she made him tap. Now, our last match featured our United States champion Lycan Umbras taking on newcomer Frankie Bones. And some people questioned this move. I mean, new guys, first, second match in, and it's a title shot. And yeah, it's maybe happened before, but those were usually from number one contender matches. To be aren't offered a title shot and like your second match here in WPA, I gotta commend Lycan Umbras for that. I mean, I don't know what else could be said. But Lycan Umbras did pick up the win, retaining his title. And he's still your United States champion. Now, of course, Mega Week, our admin will be on the hunt trying to find a proper opponent for Lycan Umbras. Shouldn't be too hard. Anybody here in WPA can beat anybody at any given time. They just need to put in the effort. But that's all I got, folks. Shout out to my cousin Turtle for holding it down for me while I went and shook my booty last night. Yeah, I wasn't hanging around, folks. Time is money, folks. Time is valuable. It is not to be wasted. But that's all I got, folks. I have it on good authority that Mega Week's going to have a couple of matches that are going to be pretty vicious. Hey, Flip, you know it would be a weird match to have? Imagine, if you will, a match based on points, but the lowest point was the winner. You mean you don't know what I mean? Like a cross country race. You know, in cross country, it's not that team with the highest scores. The team with the lowest score wins. Now, imagine that in a match where the lowest score won. It's like a reverse fortune match or some shit. Could you imagine that shit? That'd be an innovative match, folks. But I don't make the matches. Stay tuned. Philip will be coming up with his pick of the week. I'm Johnathan T. Rokford. Remember, folks, as always, don't drink and drive. Hug your loved ones. And pick up the phone and call that friend that might need to hear your voice. That's all we got, folks. Next week, Mega Week. Better than the last one. Deuces. No. Yeah, I hope it don't take long this time. This is gonna be a long day. I don't know how fucking Turtle does this in 20 minutes. Then again, he really doesn't give a shit anyway. So. What? Oh yeah, when he doesn't have a Starbucks, he gets a little sticky. Yeah. He goes from Michelangelo to Raphael. Like that. He don't care either. Said what he said, you know. Yeah, there'll be some hurt feelings, but they'll get over it. Hello, WPA. This is once again time for you to feel honor and feel privileged to hear my voice as it comes across your screen as I divulge to you my pick of the week. And this shall take very long, as my pick is not one that is often mentioned in WPA, but at times can be a sleeper agent. He pulled out a win this week, and now has gold around his waist. And most people would say it's a shocking experience. But as Johnathan has often said, anyone at any given time in WPA can pick up a win. Anyone with due diligence can be a champion. And this week, the Emperor Toucan Anomalium was able to pick up gold and become the triple threat champion. And although he may have a tough road ahead of him, it is not that often that the word gold and Emperor Toucan Anomalium are in the same sentence. I mean, hell, he even shocked himself. I was impressed mainly because he had to do diligence to study his opponents beforehand, and the wherewithal to take advantage of the situation in order to pick up the win. Now, do I think he'll hold on to the title? That's another story, but for now, we will celebrate his win and see what happens, as we only have a week left in this month. And then I give you my top 10. Good job, Emperor. You can call yourself a champion. You can add your name to the list of people who have won the title. No one can ever take that from you. But that is all I have, folks. Remember, I'm watching. Impress me. And with that, I wish you a good day. I said, good day.